The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Ski Sundown in nearby New Hartford, Connecticut, offering bundled lesson packages including rental equipment and lift tickets. Online registration available at skisundown.com. Winter made better.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, word nerd Emily Brewster answers one of Khalees's questions about the word Orient.
In order to better write ourselves. And we'll also head up to Shelburne to a market that joins two farms' offerings to be a one-stop shop for its community at Hager's Market.
But first, a foray into adventure through sounds of the East mingled with those of the West.
All of which you can experience tomorrow night at the Drake in Amherst.
His site says it's at UMass Amherst. The Drake says it's
No.
I know it's sponsored by.
It's sponsored by. It was booked by the FAC. They're doing this collaborative thing with the Drake. And honestly, they're trying to do it with other venues too. If they have someone they want to bring in for their program, but feel like they've got a room that isn't the right size, they're partnering outside. So yeah, it's a FAC show that is being hosted by the Drake.
You got that, Sonny Jane? We have some mutual friends, I think, in one John Hodgman in particular.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure you know Vijay Prashad as well.
Oh, Vijay Prashad. Yeah, I've only met him once. I'm very
yeah.
familiar with his work.
Yeah.
He's better friends with another Sonny in one of my bands.
And I know that Sonny too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we were just saying, I think he's coming on the show.
Yeah, he's coming on the show in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, very cool.
We can't have enough sunny days.
I hope you like jokes like that because we're going to do a lot of them.
That's what you get. That's why Hodgman puts me on his podcast. The New Yorker says of our next guest, the indefatigable drummer and dole player Sonny Jane is an unrepentant maximalist. Were he a visual artist, one imagines bright-hued paint splattered across his canvas, his floor, and perhaps his ceiling. Think of a genre, and it's probably somewhere in his compositions. Yet the musician's hullabaloo stands on considered conceptual ground. I love that description.
You may know,
I do too.
You may know Sonny Jane as the founder and leader of the genre-mashing and infectiously fun Brooklyn-based band Red Barack. And like Red Barack, Wild Wild East draws from Jane's identity as a first-generation South Asian American. Jane's music taps his family's immigration story and his far-reaching musical roots.
Sonny Jane recasts the immigrant steeped in the courage to leave a familiar homeland for a new beginning as the modern-day cowboy and cowgirl. Sonny Jane sources musical inspiration from the scores of Bollywood classics and spaghetti westerns, Indian folk tradition, jazz improvisation, psychedelia, and surf guitar styles, and he brings his Wild Wild East to the Drake in Amherst tomorrow night, Thursday, February 19th. Thanks so much for joining us, Sonny Jane.
Hey, thanks for having me, Monty and Khalees.
I was describing this album. First, this album is so atmospheric.
It's really fun.
Super cool. But I was describing it to someone in the studio while we were setting up as if Ennio Morricone did the soundtrack to a Bollywood movie about cowboys, and he looked at me and went, "That's weird in the best way."
I mean, it's funny you say that. I'm drawn a lot from Ennio Morricone, as well as a famous Bollywood composer named R.D. Burman, who had kind of tapped into some of Ennio's forms and styles when he was composing for the film Sholay in 1975, which is an album and movie I grew up with.
Sholay is a classic. If you're into Bollywood at all, Sholay is one of the ones that you need to have seen to have a basis for what gets done in modern Indian cinema.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of those classic films. Don't let your kids watch it unless they're of age. I made the mistake of doing that with my kids when they were 6 or 7. And they started crying in the theater. I was like, uh-oh, we got to get out of here.
It's easy to forget what's in there when you grow up.
I know.
And you were scarred by it as a child.
Yeah. There's reasons why I haven't watched Alien, the first one.
Oh, yeah. I already made that mistake with my young kids. Anyway, Sonny Jane, we mentioned how you recasting the idea of the cowboy and that sort of idea, and also the Indian comes up lyrically in this as well. Talk about that as a motif, and also the idea that you're calling it Wild Wild East. This wants to have that kind of vibe to it.
There's a bunch of different concepts kind of coming together with it. First off, it kind of hit when I was performing in Dubai at this place called the Global Village. It's like a Epcot center of the Middle East. All these countries are represented by architecture, like the Byzantine art of Turkey or the Eiffel Tower of France. And the Americas, like all of the Americas, were represented by a cowboy, a white male cowboy with a gun in its holster. It was a giant built up mannequin of this cowboy, and you walk between his legs to enter the Americas. And I remember sitting on stage and being like, wow, it's so weird. It's the only representation of a human being out of all the countries that were there having representation at this global village. And I started thinking back in my early days of when, kids play the game, Indians and cowboys and Indians. And I always wanted to be the cowboy, but like I always got thrown into the Indian realm, and I'm like, well, wait, those are two different Indians we're talking about here. Yeah. So it was a little play and juxtaposition on that. It was also around the time when Trump was getting elected for his first term, and just the wildness of D.C. and New York, of just all these constitutional rights getting stripped away, and judges in the lower courts getting replaced with people that are more conservative. And then also it's the idea of the South Asian subcontinent. My family went through the 1947 partition and independence after the Brits left, and they were refugees amongst like 14 million people that were also displaced during this migration. And I just thought about the idea of my parents migrating from Pakistan to India to eventually America, and how they kind of landed in this country. And, really that immigrant story that a lot of us have in our backgrounds, and was kind of thinking about that, the idea of boldness and courage for someone like that to just leave their familiar homeland and come to a new place and start a family.
It's also like an accidental kind of reframing of history, because if you think about it, Europeans, specifically Italian European, came west to go east and look for India and landed in the Americas. And like this sound is somehow distinctly American while also containing all of those other parts that we just mentioned.
We'll throw in the spaghetti of the spaghetti westerns for the Italians like me.
This project, I think, is the first time I've seen you play kit.
Yeah.
How differently do you write for a drum kit as opposed to dole when you're playing it, which you also do play for this project, but kit does happen quite a bit for this album and this project.
Yeah, I'm primarily playing kit live for the show and in the album. I don't necessarily write differently just because I'm playing the kit, whether it's Red Baraat or Wild Wild East or other projects, if there's Indian percussion, tabla or dhol or dholak, I'm still writing with the frame of understanding how those parts link up, from being able to play all those instruments, but also, drum set is actually my first instrument, jazz drums. And it's what I did in my previous life to Red Baraat. Like I have albums before that where I was just playing jazz drums, writing songs and whatnot and doing that. This is kind of a return to that, but with a different lens, I'd say, after many years of playing in Red Baraat just as the dole player and having a different drummer behind me or a percussionist as well, kind of interlinking those rhythms. A lot of the language is still translating from the South Asian rhythms to drum set, but, there's other things happening there. It's that lilt of jazz and that four to the floor kind of like disco, funk, rock party. There's a little bit of everything in there.
We're speaking with Sonny Jane, who's bringing his Wild Wild East to the Drake in Amherst tomorrow night, Thursday, February 19th. And you mentioned how jazz was your first love. You were a jazz ambassador for the U.S. State Department and the Kennedy Center when both of those were a thing. And you've written a couple of jazz instructional books, The Total Jazz Drummer, but the dole is what we see you playing a lot. And you mentioned the dholak. When I was in India, I bought a dholak and brought it home. And I think I know the difference between the two of them. But from you, a professional, can you tell us the difference between the dole, which looks like a tiny cannon that you wear around your neck, and so does the dholak, but tell us the difference between the two of those.
Well, the dholak or dholki is a smaller version, actually, of the dhol. So the main difference is this: the bhangra dhol that I play, you play with sticks. And the dholak and the dholki, it's all part of the North, Hindustani classical family of language: tabla, dholak, dholki, dhol. But dholak and dholki, you play with your hands. And there's the same vocabulary, the same bols that we say, which is the syllables, or in Hindi means to speak. And you're literally speaking these syllables from tabla or dholak or dholki. And some of that language also translates to dole as well. But the main difference is hands versus sticks. I was a frustrated tabla player, and because I grew up playing with sticks, when I started playing tabla, I was like, oh man, this is going to take me so long. I switched to dole.
The syllabic way of playing percussion that comes from South Asia is so fascinating and beautiful to me. Like, I love hearing when the syllables are said out loud as well. And I've gotten to see like legends like Zakir Hussain play. The time signatures are what really always blow my mind. And if I listen to the Wild Wild East album, as you mentioned, there's a lot of four on the floor disco stuff.
But when it breaks out, it breaks way out.
What is the weirdest time signature that you know you will be playing in at the Drake tomorrow?
I bet there's 17s.
There's a section that's in, I think 11, or is it 13? Might be 13, but it's just a very short section in one of the songs, a song called Ujala, which in Punjabi means light. And there's a small section in there that kind of goes through this 13-beat cycle. There's another one, Blackwell, I think that's in 9.5 beats, but you don't feel it. It's so slow, you don't feel it. Like, I don't necessarily write thinking about the rhythms, actually. It's like, as a drummer, I first write from melody, and bass lines. And then I put in the harmony, and then I start thinking, okay, what am I going to play over this? It's very rare that I'm thinking about the drum beats or the rhythm, the time signature, rather,
It's the thing that feels right. It's the thing that I have to explain to my bandmates when I write music, and they're like, but only these two measures are in 3, and I'm like, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It just feels natural that way.
Well, do some of the more complicated rhythms that come from South Asia come more naturally to you, you grew up in the U.S., but you probably grew up more exposed to this music than other rock musicians might have, let's say?
I did. I did grow up with a lot of it. Maybe it's natural. I didn't necessarily study it, but it was definitely in my ear. It was around at home. Hindustani classical music, in particular, not Carnatic music. That's something I came to when I was much later, which is the South Indian classical tradition. But I got to tell you, the odd meters, you know where it comes from? I'm from Rochester, New York, so I call it Southern Canada. I grew up with Rush.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where the time signatures came from for me.
That'll do it.
We can thank the late, great Neil Peart for that.
Yes.
More coming up with multi-percussionist and composer Sonny Jane, who'll bring his Wild Wild East project to the Drake tomorrow night, including a look at some of the places Sonny has shown up on our screens over the past couple of years.
After which we'll encounter Words on the Rise with word nerd Emily Brewster and the Orchards Ice Cream and Community coming together at Hager's Market.
You're listening to The Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
We're speaking with Sonny Jane, who's bringing his Wild Wild East to the Drake tomorrow night.
Can we talk about where and how you use vocals? Because it's sporadic, but it's very deliberate with this project. A lot of it is like these sweeping sonic landscapes of varying types. But when the voice comes in, whether or not it has words, there's something differently evocative about that. So talk about your use of vocals and when you decide to.
I think in this album in particular, there's certain concepts I want to get across, whether it's in Hindi or Punjabi. Aditya Prakash sings this one song called The Bagi, which talks about a great person named Kartar Singh, who was part of the Ghadar movement, which was a revolutionary movement of essentially expats that were in California, growing up this Ghadar party to overthrow the British government in the early 1900s. And so Bagi literally means rebel. So there were some words that a dear friend, Ali Mir, had written. I wanted to have Aditya's voice on it. I knew he would just sing it and just bring out the beauty of the words. There's another song that a dear friend Ganavia is singing on a Jain bhajan or devotional song called Maitri Bhavanu, which is really talking about the idea of friendship and belonging in the human ecosystem. There's another one that's in English by a rapper from LA, a Muslim rapper named Hasib, and that's just straight up the bat, like English, like really talking about who is native, who is indigenous, who's this land belong to, who does it not belong to, and why is it that the brown-skinned person is always kind of put down. I also think about voice in terms of, while I think about the lyric and the content, it's deliberate in the sense of also using it as an instrument. Like in the title track, Wild Wild East, I purposely wanted Ganavia's voice in these big, held long tones before she goes into an alap solo over the solo section. And to me, it was replacing this idea of Ennio Morricone utilizing the voice that was almost a I don't know. It's a native and indigenous sound that he used to use. The oh yo, that whole thing. And I was like, oh, I got to get rid of that. Like, I'm going to put my Punjabi flavor. I'm going to put my Punjabi flavor in there and have the dhol and have like these certain melodic fragments and have Ganavia's voice in there. And that was my way of taking something and just kind of putting my little stamp on it.
I love the lyricism of this project. The arrangement, the way you have these instruments arranged, like really allows that to shine. So thank you.
Sonny Jane, you've had a couple of high-profile appearances in the last couple of years as well. You have a cameo in the Bob Dylan biopic, A Complete Unknown, where I believe you're playing the dhol in that as well. How did that come about?
I'm playing the tambourine in that.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like,
you're the Mr. Tambourine Man.
Yeah. I'm Mr. Tambourine Man.
If anybody was asking or wondering, it's you.
This is the guy.
It's you now.
Hey, Mr.
me.
Tambourine Man, play a song for me. Kind of rude, Bob Dylan.
I know, right? So demanding.
That just kind of came out randomly, to be honest for you. I got a call for it, or an email rather, and the dates worked out. And when I got on set, James Mangold, the director, ended up throwing me in 2 extra scenes. So I kind of stuck around and then did a few more shoots, but it was just completely random. And the idea was, he told me, he was like, I want you to appear 3 or 4 times in the movie. You're the allusion as to why maybe Bob wrote Mr. Tambourine Man. Whether it's true or not, if he saw an Indian person on the street playing the tambourine, I don't know. But that was James's impression of what he wanted to do. He wanted to have me sing like a traditional Indian song, which I was singing a Jane Bhajan, a devotional song, and then playing a tambourine. It was wild.
You're also featured in Ed Sheeran's new Netflix special as well, right?
That's what I was curious about.
Yeah.
How did this happen? That's not a pairing I would make happen.
Yeah, Redhead and Red Bharat.
Yeah. That came about through a friend of the sousaphone player from Red Bharat, John Altieri, a dear friend of his, works at Netflix. And when Ed was putting this thing together, he was like, yeah, I need like an Indian band to play in the subway. And so she called us up. We were the first band she thought of. We met her, I guess, like 15 years ago at some party or something like that. And John's been good friends with her since. So we brought 4 people from the band: Jonathan Goldberger on guitar, Chris Edelton on drums, and John Altieri was playing sousaphone, and I played some dhol.
Cool.
Yeah, it's fun to see that clip.
This album and this project sounds like pilgrimage to me. There's something about like how evocative it is of like sort of Western themes, and that reminds me a lot of like Sufi chanting in a way. Was there a specific journey that this project allowed you to make?
I think it was those many years of or not many years. I mean, I'd say those 3 years, like since that 2016 kind of experience in Dubai, and then just going through the course of life in those 3 years, formulating this music and writing it and just kind of thinking of the concept. I hadn't written an album in like over a decade under my own name, where I was like just free from the idea of what Red Bharat had been and how I used to always write for that band. In this perspective, I was able to just open up my mind and be like, okay, what do I want to write for? What is the sound that I want to put there? It's also a culmination of many years of just actually loving Sufi dhol drumming. It's funny you say that, Sufi chant and meditation. It's something I've been heavily involved in for the last 15, 20 years, just the idea of that repetitive rhythm and how it puts you in a trance, and just how music is really that religion for me. It's that way of just like really spiritually going to somewhere else. It's a way of communicating culture by stripping away all culture. It's a way by communicating emotions with no words. At the same time, when I was writing the album and actually recording it, my father was also having a decline in health, and he had passed away a day before the single was released.
Wow.
So that was a huge thing when the album was kind of coming together, that last year of it when we were recording. I was visiting him in the hospital a lot, playing him these old Bollywood songs that we recorded on the album. It was an homage to him and my mother, to their immigration story.
It's a wonderful album. It was a great commuting in today, listening to it again. And like Khalees was saying, it puts you in this really meditative state. When I spent some time in India, we would go on long bus rides and listen to like Pandit Nikhil Banjari and all these people. And all of us would go into this state of real relaxation and meditation. That plus all the fun party stuff that's still on there as well.
And weirdly, like I went to high school in Colorado, and what it evoked to me, like it was drives from Colorado Springs to Denver, where you'd see like just plains and then giant plateaus. Like it sounds like the West in a way that is distinctly that couldn't really happen anywhere but America.
But this is the Wild Wild East, and Sonny Jane is bringing the Wild Wild East to the Drake in Amherst on the west coast of the East Coast, Thursday, February 19th. And I will say, 10 years ago, Red Baratt came to Western Massachusetts and inaugurated a theater, a nonprofit theater that I am the president of the board still. The opening night, Red Baratt opened up the Shea Theater in Turners Falls, and it was the best and biggest party I think we've ever had. So that was such a fun night. And tomorrow night is going to be equally as fun at the Drake in Amherst, another newish nonprofit venue, when Sonny Jane's Wild Wild East comes to town. UMass Fine Arts Center is presenting this at the Drake. It is part of their Asian and Asian American Arts and Culture program. It is happening tomorrow evening, so don't go to the UMass Fine Arts Center. Go to the Drake and get ready to have a fun time. Sonny Jane, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you guys so much. Hope to see you at the Drake.
Absolutely.
And of course, the Fine Arts Center at UMass is an underwriter of NEPM, but that's not why we talked to Sonny Jane. All of his music is inspiring, and it's even better live, and you can see that for yourself tomorrow night at the Drake in Amherst.
Donuts, local meats, and produce. A killer bakery and ready-made section all blend together in the Hilltown experience that is Hager's Market in Shelburne shortly.
After we dig into a question I had about direction and adjectival forms with word nerd Emily Brewster and a look at the word orient.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass Amherst School of Public Policy, offering in-person and online graduate programs in public policy and data analytics. Admissions now open at umass.edu/SPP. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Dean's Beans Organic Coffee, a locally based worker-owned company committed to social and environmental responsibility, roasting fair trade, organic, shade-grown coffee since 1993. DeansBeans.com.
That was fun about the Valentine's Day meatloaf that a listener made, inspired by your Valentine's Day meatloaf conversation last week.
I loved that.
Emily Brewster, resident wordster from Merriam-Webster, our dictionary in Springfield. You had a request from one, Khalees Smith, to talk about something specific today, and that is where we will begin. What are we talking about today, Emily Brewster?
The word orient.
Yay!
Orient. Khalees, I want to hear from you what you are curious about with the word orient and how you feel about the word.
Well, I was thinking about it as slur, and then thinking about the actual meaning of orient being west.
East,
because occidental is the other way. But the ways that we use it and how it's always really meant direction, and how it is a part of a lot of these directional words that we still use, and then trying to wrap my head around how it came back to being a bad word to use for people.
Yeah, how do we reorient the word orient?
Right. Well, it's in particular the form oriental that mostly has this kind of patina on it that is deeply insulting.
Like the restaurant in Northampton called Oriental Taste, which I always say, like, maybe slightly racist taste.
Yes, but if we think about
actually
it,
not.
If we think about it as just like it is Eastern taste, which is what it is,
right?
And so, it just got me thinking about like that shift and why we don't necessarily think of Orient as East anymore or immediately.
Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely not. Right. We think of orient in the term of as a verb. We think of it as positioning something.
Right.
You can orient your map or something.
Yes.
And the word, if we go all the way back, there are really a pair of words. They both come from Latin, and orient comes from oriri or oriri, probably more likely. O-R.
Oriri.
Auto parts.
I don't think so.
Wow. I'm going to think of the word Orient now every time I drive by O'Reilly Auto Parts on my street.
Yes.
So this word, oriri, means to rise or to come forth. That's where the Latin speakers of days of far, far gone got the word Orient, and the same with Occident. Occident comes from Occidere, and there's no X in this. It's just Occidere, and that word means to fall down, go down, or set. These words are both tied directly to the rising and setting of the sun. And they were coined in, this is Latin. And so they were all in relation to where the Latin speakers were, which is basically modern day Italy, and that southern European part of the world that is so rich with history. So for them, originally, the Orient was anything in the direction in which they saw the sun rise. And Occident was anything in the direction to which they saw the sun set.
That's amazing. But it does make me want to use Occident for people who are clumsy and fall down.
Yeah. Oh, did you have an Occident? Because it was so dark out because the sunset
They're
over
just
there in the
Occidental.
west?
They bump into everything.
Yeah.
Right. The word rise comes from the same Latin source as Orient. Right? We had this Middle English word risen, and that is from Old English, and it came to us from the German side of the language, but it traces back to that Latin word oriri, to rise, which ultimately comes from a Sanskrit word meaning to wave, and also all the way back ultimately to Hittite, meaning he rises.
Oh.
I'm like an Oriri. That's the one. That's my takeaway. When I see the sunrise from now on, I'm just going to start singing
Riri.
the O'Reilly Auto Parts jingle. Oh, Riri.
That's
Auto Parts.
Product placement right on our sun.
This idea of falling, I think, is very interesting because the word Occident ultimately comes from this Latin word cadere, meaning to fall, that is also the source of the word chance. And chance originally had to do with, as it still does sometimes today, something that happens kind of unpredictably or without discernible human intention or observable cause. It's just something that just happens by chance. And that's from the Latinate arm of the English language. But then the word fall comes from the Germanic word of the language, and befall and happen by chance are synonyms.
So it's lucky to be clumsy.
Or maybe it just has to do with gravity. Maybe it has to do with this chance that falling is inevitable.
Gravity is what makes the sun appear to rise and fall and us to go around in its orbit too. It's just an illusion caused by the world spinning around, as Flaming Lips would like to remind you.
it is writing itself.
Yeah. But back to Khalees's original take here about Orient and Oriental. When we hear Oriental, that is when it really, everybody's eyes, with our eyebrows raised, have we crossed into racist territory? And
right. Now that sensation is a pretty new one. I would assume that there are people in their late 70s, 80s who don't have that association yet. If they have not been paying careful attention to the way that certain terms have developed in the culture, they might see nothing wrong with that. And certainly we have instances, people still refer to Oriental rugs and they don't have another name. In other cases, the word Asian has replaced Oriental. But it all comes down to something that happened. So originally, the Orient was everything to the east of Rome, let's say, everything to the east of the Roman Empire. And then it came to just apply to this part of that eastern territory that was then colonized using some really brutal tactics. And it is now the elements of the colonization that has given the word Oriental its negative connotations. There is a lot of this othering going on. Things that were Oriental were exoticized and the humanity was diminished. And instead, we have this kind of fetishized version of a culture. And it's that caused that word, the word Oriental, to have these deeply negative, hurtful connotations, and why it's commonly, avoided now.
And it's interesting because it is kind of the only form of the word Orient that we now shy away from.
Right.
Orientation's totally fine. Reorient yourself, fine. You want to orient yourself? Totally, totally fine. But we get into the adjectival version of this word, and now we have kind of eschewed it.
Right. Now, formerly we had access to the adjective Orient. but we don't anymore. But it used to be that the word Orient could describe, say, a rising moon or sun. You could say the Orient moon, which would mean the rising moon. The word Orient then came to have to do with rising in general, but not always tied to the sun. And Orient was, in the 15th century, it was used in exactly the way that Oriental came to be used as an adjective to refer to things in the eastern part of the world. There is a use of Orient, the adjective, that is still in very specialized use. It describes gems and pearls, precious stones that are especially lustrous or sparkling. And this is because there were pearls in the Indian Ocean that came to have a very, very good reputation. They were just finer than pearls that were anywhere else. And they were Orient pearls because they were found in these eastern waters.
Wow.
Well, we are this week celebrating Lunar New Year, which is a big deal in Asia, which some people referred to as the Orient, or
Happy Year of the Horse, everybody.
Oriental, compared to where we sit right now, eastern from us. If you're looking at the globe that way, you could also look at it occidentally and go all the way to Asia towards the west if you wanted as well. But Occidental and Occident, as we mentioned before, is the opposite of Orient and Oriental. How come Occident and Occidental didn't take off in the same way that Orient and Oriental did? Is it because we're in what we perceive to be the West and we can't see the forest for the trees or something?
Well, it happened before our hemisphere had English-speaking people in it. So I don't think that's the reason. The first use of the verb orient had to do with positioning a church so that the church would face the east.
Okay.
So I think it's really about the prominence and importance of East culturally, religiously, and that then has kind of given the word its broader application. That certainly is how we got the verb to orient something, which is where we also get orientation. Those are all from the verb form of orient.
They had to face the east? That sounds like worshiping false gods to me.
Well, I don't know. It depends, I guess. I mean, because if it were in this continent and you wanted to look towards the east, maybe that's where Jerusalem or the Holy Land or and all that stuff. And plus, you add Muslim culture into it. They love to face the east from here. It's also Ramadan right now. The confluence of all sorts of interesting things happening
the best
this week.
Time of year for Ramadan to happen.
Yeah, it happened yesterday on Mardi Gras. And you're like, wow, there's a lot of things happening right now. I can't figure out how to tie in Ramadan to this, but if you want to celebrate Oriental culture, Occidental culture, Lunar New Year, and Rome, where these words come from, I urge you to watch the Bruce Lee movie, Way of the Dragon, starring Chuck Norris. It takes place in Rome, where he is a waiter at a Roman Chinese food restaurant on Lunar New Year. They have an epic fight in the Colosseum, one of the best.
We'll show him Chinese boxing. Yeah, Chinese boxing. Yeah.
Wow, that is impressive.
That's a this week watching.
And that's a recommendation from somebody born in the year of the horse.
I am the year of the horse. I'm back into my year. I don't know if I was a fire horse, but I am now.
Hello, I'm Mr. Ed.
Well, Emily Brewster, our resident wordster from Merriam-Webster.
Thanks for this orientation on Orient.
Yes. A reminder, it is racist to refer to people as Oriental at this point. Words change in their meaning and their context. There's a lot of words that we say now that would not have been favorable in a racial or ethnic setting 20 years ago, and vice versa.
Right.
But go with what people want right now. Call people who they are by their name, or maybe where they come from country-wise, and don't paint with such a broad brush. And also be a little more forgiving, because this could change again in 10 years.
And bring back Occident.
Yeah, let's start calling ourselves...
It's a super useful word.
You can call me Occidental. We're from Western Mass. We're from Occidental Massachusetts.
We are from Occidental Mass.
Ooh, I think we're going to capitalize on this.
Also, Khalees, thank you for the question.
Oh.
And if listeners have a question, have a word that they are really curious about its origin or its development or the meanings that it currently has, they should write to you all, right?
Yes, thefab413@nepm.org. And I wish I could easily find the name of the person who made a Valentine's Day shaped heart Meatloaf for Valentine's Day after listening to the Fabulous 413 last week. But to that person,
Thank you for the pic.
Thank you for tagging us on social media, and that was
Totally.
that was a lot of fun.
That was so fun to see. I'm so happy that it inspired someone to make a heart shape.
I found him. Kelly Norris. Thank you, Kelly Norris.
I hope you enjoyed your love loaf.
The love
indeed.
loaf.
Exciting and new.
Cool.
The love loaf.
Thank you, Emily Brewster.
Soon we'll be eating another meat.
Wow, Khalees. I love that. I'm gonna call it a love loaf now from here on out. And I'm gonna regale my family with that song. And I'm gonna blame you.
And now, to go get a donut and maybe some fried dough, perhaps a love loaf. Oh, and also local produce and meat and more in Shelburne at Hager's Market.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Well, we are here for another Local Hero Spotlight with Claire Morneau from CISA, the Local Hero, folks, community involved in sustaining agriculture, and Chip and Sherry Hager from Hager's Farm Country Market, which when I told my 12-year-old, I'm going to Hager's to do this interview, he said, the ice cream place? And I said, yes, and. I said, I don't know if that's how they would identify themselves.
Because I remember mostly for picking up donuts on my way to go work at the Charlemont Inn.
Claire, you have your own frame of reference for this place as well.
Yeah, I was saying I came in on a fall Saturday and the place was completely crammed because I think cider donuts, apples, all of that fall stuff.
And the thing, that's the number one.
Fried dough.
One time a year, I allow myself a fried dough, and that it is Franklin County Fair, fried dough, maple cream, Hager's exclusively, no exceptions, ifs, ands, or buts. The greatest, in my opinion, fried dough with maple cream.
So what's your secret? No.
Yeah. But, you're a farm stand and all the things that we just mentioned, and you're married. You just mentioned you've been married for 50 years, Chip and Sherry. Did you grow up farming here?
Not on this farm exactly, but yes, I've farmed my whole life. My family farms in Coleraine. It was a dairy farm up until 10 years ago, I guess, when it just wasn't feasible to do it any longer. But we still operate that, and that's where we raise a lot of the stuff that we sell here. Beef, pork, eggs, chicken, maple. That's all done on that farm there.
So then, Sherry, how did you get involved? Were you farming before this as well, or did you marry into farming?
I grew up here. This is my family farm. And we bought this family farm back 15 years ago. I mean, I grew up across the street. My dad is still there.
At the Chippin' Putt?
At the Chippin' Putt. I was there before the Chippin' Putt was there.
Now you have a chip.
Yeah.
But no Chippin' Putt.
They used to call us Chippin' Putt.
The Sip and Puff, as some people call it.
But yes, so I grew up here. I picked up brush and picked up drops and worked in the store that was up on the hill in the big white building up there. And then they built a store down here.
And you bought this farm back and basically established this market. And that was not that long ago, right? What was the story there?
It was 2009 we purchased this out of a semi-foreclosure situation. This was primarily an apple farm at that point. We ended up purchasing it along with another farmer that bought some acreage just to make into fields. Right away we found what was here was nowhere near big enough. So we started adding on, and we've added on 3 times. And just yesterday we were discussing, we don't have room.
Gonna have to add on a 4th, I guess.
And in 2009, I had just finished my prerequisites for nursing school, and I got accepted. So we decided that if we bought this place, I would continue on and get my degree and work here when I could, and I did. And I just retired 2 years ago as a school nurse.
Oh, a school nurse. I love school nurses. I don't know why. They're always the nicest. Also, best bathrooms if you have to go.
The most important thing, or one of the things that's missing is the third person, and which is our daughter, Kim. Okay, she is the manager. We work for her. She went to Cornell, got her degree in marketing, and I grew up at the storage where we had a very successful market. When I was a teenager, that place was mobbed. And we have taken what we have experienced in our lives and what we've learned and tried to incorporate into this business what the people want and what the people need. And we have Chef Henry. Henry is amazing. He makes all homemade foods and really delightful stuff at the counters.
Soups and casseroles and salads, and those are all Henry's creations.
Nice.
I haven't counted up lately, but there's around 50 other local purveyors. We get honey and different cheeses, bagged up pancake mix, and
Soaps and jams and jellies.
Yeah.
all that comes from local purveyors. So we're more than just our farm putting things in to sell, but it supports the whole local.
And it's prime real estate right along Route 2 here, so it's
Yeah,
easy to pull right off and have a great time.
We also have other children there are children who come and help on special events, and our daughter-in-law works here. If needed, they come.
The Hager call goes out.
Yeah, it's true family business.
Can I pencil you in? No, I'm using a pen.
But if you look out the window here, so we're in like the little cafe area, this beautiful dining room. There's gorgeous apple orchard out there. So are you still doing apples as a big part of the business?
We still grow apples, nowhere near what the original farm did. What we grow here is what we can sell here.
Yeah.
And actually try not to grow more than we can sell here.
Mm-hmm.
If you look on the horizon up there, those are actually peach trees.
Oh, wow.
We've added some more to the pick your own. These lower bushes right here are blueberries we set out a few years back.
250.
Yeah.
And we've got some raspberries out there.
There's plums, pears, we have asparagus, we have the greenhouse, the garden. There's a lot going on here.
It's kind of a one-stop shop.
Yeah, and and you do have grocery and prepared foods and things like that here as well.
We do a lot of back and forth with Plainville Farm, Wally Sikowski.
We love Wally.
Everybody does. He's a great guy.
Jekanowski's farm.
Yeah.
We don't grow strawberries, but we sell a lot of strawberries. We get them from Norse's. We're back and forth, and Wally, if we have more peaches than we can sell here, Wally will move them, or asparagus. Right now, our asparagus is we're just about right.
I'm surprised Wally even considers your asparagus. He's so Hadley asparagus-centric. Yeah, Hadley grass. He's like the champion of Hadley grass.
Yes.
Coming from a dairy farming background, what was the transition like to now you have this direct sales outlet, like you're stocking a whole variety of products? It seems like a really different sort of business, not just to be growing such a wider variety of things and raising animals and all of that, but the sort of like figuring out what customers want and creating a place that draws them in.
One thing when we started here, I wanted to do was, like I say, I grew up in Darien, and we had no choice of what we got for our milk. We got what the price was, and that was it. No negotiation, nothing you could do about it.
Right, because the federal government sets those prices.
Those prices are set. And when we started here, I said, if we don't do anything else, we're not going to lose money. So
Rule number one.
This put us in a position where we can price things so that we can make money on what we grow.
Yeah.
We've had to zigzag and swerve some to figure out how we can grow stuff and still make a profit and make it affordable for the customers all at the same time.
That's what we want to do. We want to be sustainable. We want the community to benefit, and we want people to be fed.
We want to grow a quality product as well. I feel a lot of our products, people compliment that they're way better than buying in a big grocery store.
We're at Hager's Farm Market on Route 2. Are we technically in Shelburne right now? Shelburne. Right off the Greenfield Rotary, though, with Chip and Sherry Hager. I have heard tell also that you guys had a fire a couple of years ago. Is that right? And then you have come out like a phoenix from the ashes, risen from that?
Yeah, we're slowly getting our act together. We still haven't figured out what we want to do or what we can do to rebuild.
And that was not here at the store. That was at a barn.
Correct. That was at our Corrine farm. At the time of the fire, we were raising pigs in the barn, which is the part that we haven't gone back to since the fire.
We're going to, though.
People can come in for a meal. They can come in to get groceries. They can come in to get some food to take home. I feel like the baked goods are a really big I mean, that's the part that has been, I don't know if that says something about my interest.
We can
but
smell them right now, so it's hard to ignore.
The fried dough, the apple cider donuts, I guess those are not baked.
The fresh vegetables and fruit have, like when HIP was suspended for a while, a lot of people were hurting. They weren't able to get what they needed. It was awful.
Yeah.
A lot of elderly people rely on HIP and getting their needs met.
And we've mentioned HIP a million times, but it's a healthy incentives program. It's a state-run program that collaborates with SNAP or food stamps to try to incentivize people to buy healthy. How big of a slice of the Hager's pie is SNAP and EBT for your customer base?
It's fairly large. I can't tell you a percentage right
Yeah.
at this point. I
Kim
just
could.
don't.
But large, yeah.
It's large.
Yeah. The thing about the SNAP and the HIP, we have what people really need: healthy, affordable food. And that business for us is a good, steady, year-round business, not just a seasonal business.
Right.
We have people that come from quite a ways away in the winter when a lot of your other stands aren't open, and we are to use their HIP money, which is very, very specific what that can be used on.
And worth remembering for people that are critical of SNAP and or HIP, it is a reinvestment in the community. All that money comes to the community, comes to you as farmers in this farm stand here. And it's at the same time making sure people have enough to eat and healthy stuff to eat.
That's a heavy topic. I want to talk about ice cream. Not every farm stand or market that we see has ice cream. Why ice cream, and when did it get here?
Well, we sell Gifford's hard ice cream and Snow's hard ice cream.
Snow's from right here, right?
In Greenfield. And our soft serve mix, which I might add, we buy the top shelf soft serve mix. There's different qualities of it.
Percentage of pop.
Milk fat, yeah.
Milk.
No, people want that. People who love ice cream want to know high content milk fat.
Yes.
It's a game changer. We support that.
It changes the mouthfeel of the ice cream.
If it doesn't have it, it's no good.
We had some ice cream on the way home from Florida. It was so grainy. It was awful.
But one thing that we get more people stopping here for than most anything else is the maple soft serve, which we prepare with our maple syrup. I don't know if I mentioned about maple and Coleraine. We make all the maple products here are made by me, basically, with the help of family. So we prepare the maple ice cream ourselves with our maple syrup, and it's a big favorite.
Have the taps started running yet or too early?
It's too early and the snow is very deep. So it's
actually
slow going. We put out about 1,000 taps yesterday.
It's heartening to me when the taps are not running in the middle of February. It seems more normal environmentally speaking.
Exactly. And it was the same thing last year when we were cold through March, where it kept being like 40 degrees at night. And I'm like, it's okay. It means that we get more maple and the season's not going to end as early as it has been in the past couple of years.
It's going to take quite a few days for the trees to thaw out. I mean, they've been at 0 degrees, froze solid all the way through.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Me too.
We got here just in time to get you. I feel like once maple season starts, it's really hard to
Chip
get
is gone.
farmers to talk to us.
Sugaring and sugaring. And we're with Chip and Sherry Hager at Hager's Market on Route 2 in Shelburne, right off of the Greenfield Rotary. And you got a nice assist from an institution of younger people learning of note. Furnished you with all sorts of fun stuff here?
Yes, this institution, they were redoing their dining hall and starting out with a lot of new facilities. They let people have a lot of the counters and different equipment that they weren't going to move into their new facility. They passed it along to a lot of local businesses.
And it's really nice when they are giving those away, because that institution does have some funding, so they don't necessarily need to sell it.
Well, and it also helps us to comply with all the Board of Health to have the necessary equipment without having to break the bank to get it. So yes, we are very grateful.
The other thing that I associate Hager's with is one of my favorite radio stunts that happens every single year. The weekend after Halloween, a giant cherry picker comes out over there. There is a poured concrete slab, and people bring their old jack-o'-lanterns for the Bear Country 95.3. What do they call it? Pumpkin toss? Or pumpkin smash?
Pumpkin smash, yes.
Yeah, I've been here many times for that, and I'm a sucker for a good radio stunt, and it's just to see, like, the splash radius of your jack-o'-lantern when it gets dropped from a cherry picker. And I've been here when it's a little windy, and I'm like, God love you, Nick Danger or Kevin Collins, who used to do it, dropping those pumpkins out there. It's a great event.
The 4-H does a big part in the pumpkin smash.
Yeah.
The 4-H raises a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's great because it's keeping agriculture alive, not just here, but all over the place.
The only place I worked as a school nurse was Hollamont, which is an ag school.
Yeah.
We have full 4-H clubs, all the animals, and
it's great.
Yeah, brings a lot of people in. It's a community building event too, because it brings all the 4-H and it brings all our vendors, it brings the radio station and the community, and it's just a good old-fashioned fun time.
Yeah, it's a
and
blast.
we're missing some of that in our lives. That good old-fashioned fun.
You guys bring it. That plus maple cream, plus maple fried dough, plus maple ice cream. You're bringing a lot of fun.
We're kids at heart, anyway. We've always been kids at heart.
Oh, we could all see this one coming.
Can't talk about Smashing Pumpkins without Smashing Pumpkins.
Indeed. One of their better songs, for sure. Cherub Rock is pretty epic.
You're not a Smashing Pumpkins fan?
No, okay. This is one of those bands where I have to separate art and artists because Billy Corgan is kind of a tool.
Not like the band Tool.
No.
Other complications with them.
Other complications with them. But like especially like Gish, like Rhinoceros and Cherub, like the first Siamese Dream, I think are fantastic. And Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness still really holds up as an album.
Well, even if you don't like the band, it's fun to watch Smashing Pumpkins at Hager's Market on Route 2.
Also, a band that I really like was produced by James Iha, and he turned out to be a little bit of a prude, and they wrote a song about it, which, you know, gifts keep given.
Who knew? Well, on the next Fabulous 413, we'll take a tour of the Berkshire NAACP's new office in Pittsfield with branch president Dr. Dennis Powell.
And we'll hear from Elms College president Dr. Harry Dumais about their upcoming Black Experience Summit.
And our weekly chat with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern. If you've got a question for the congressman, you can send it our way, and we will ask him. thefab413@nepm.org. We leave you with Sonny Jane's band, The Wild Wild East, who are playing tomorrow at the Drake in Amherst. I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Khalees Smith. Talk to you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.